Are you new to dirt biking? Even if you've been riding a street bike for 10, 20, 40 years, transitioning to a dirt bike can be quite the challenge. So I want to show you some simple tips of what to expect and how you can make the transition easy so you don't crash really hard right away. So a common first question is riding a dirt bike the same as riding a motorcycle? And a dirt bike technically is a motorcycle, but compared to a street bike, a dirt bike is actually easier to ride generally than a motorcycle, at least at lower to moderate speeds, and obviously off-road. But the geometry and just how a dirt bike is set up, it's just easier to ride. So I just want to cover the biggest differences that you'll notice and feel going from a street bike to a dirt bike. And number one is the tires. So street bike tires have the grooves in them, but they're still round and flat, so no real knobs on them. Where a dirt bike, the knobs are the biggest differences in the tires to get the traction you need on the dirt. And the next thing is suspension. Both bikes have suspension, but the dirt bike, it's taller because it has more suspension travel, and that's because you need it to soak up all the bumps, the rocks, the roots, the logs that you're going to hit. Otherwise, if you don't have much travel, it's just going to be a harsh ride, or you're going to be bottoming out the suspension and either crashing or getting hurt or breaking stuff. And then the weight. Weight is one of the biggest things because generally a street bike, it weighs a lot more. A dirt bike just has less equipment needed. The engines are smaller, everything's just smaller because the lighter the better generally off-road. The more you can easily handle the bike, because if you got a heavy bike off-road, you're just going to get worn out really quickly, especially in sand. It's just going to feel really heavy. It's going to tire you out quickly. And the size, a dirt bike will feel a lot narrower and also taller. Taller, as I mentioned, because of the suspension. You need more suspension, and if the suspension is longer, the bike is going to be taller. You need more ground clearance for going over rocks and logs and stuff. Then the engine characteristics, obviously most dirt bikes don't have the same amount as much power as a street bike because you don't need to cruise at 70 miles an hour. But dirt bikes tend to be a little bit more snappy with the power, and what I mean by that is just when you give it gas, it's just going to be a little more abrupt. And then lastly, the ergonomics, so the controls and stuff, they're going to be a little bit different. The handlebars on dirt bikes are generally flatter. They're out more. You're like comparing it to a cruiser street bike. The cruiser is definitely more relaxed. You're just kind of sitting there, where a dirt bike you need to have a more aggressive riding position. Besides the handlebars, the seat is probably going to be the biggest change. Most dirt bike seats are pretty flat, pretty narrow, and hard, so it may feel like you're sitting on a 2x4 compared to your plush street bike seat. So as far as the riding goes, the biggest changes that you will notice are the lack of traction, because obviously in dirt you're not going to have full traction, and that's why you have the knobby tires, so you can try and get as much traction as possible. So building up your confidence is done by learning how to properly control the clutch and the throttle and your balance and just the basic techniques and proper body positioning, where a street bike, unless you're riding aggressively, you can just get away with just sitting there and accelerating, decelerating, shifting gears. You don't really need to do a whole lot. But a dirt bike, to get proper traction without sliding out and getting out of control, you need to use your whole body to stay in control of the bike. So if you don't know proper riding technique for off-road, then it's best to take a class on how to do that. So you can go to a local riding school, or you can check out my virtual dirt biker school, which helps new riders, struggling riders, or if you're transitioning from the street to the dirt. I break down the basic techniques so that it's simple, easy to understand, it's just super practical, so that you can just go out and do it today and build your confidence quick and become a better rider faster. So if you want to check that out, go to motocrosshideout.com, Or if you want to keep watching these videos to learn more, remember to subscribe, and I will see you later. I'm Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Learn more, ride more.